The Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, when I was in the migrant camps in northern France last year, the migrants told me and some of my colleagues that one of the deterrents that would stop them coming is if they were turned back in the Channel or sent back the same day. Now, we saw the Border Force Agency take a boatload back just last week. So will the Home Secretary now, with that advice, grow a political backbone and order the Border Force to send the boats back the same day?
Well, the honourable member refers to the case where there was an incident in the Channel and where there was cooperation between the Border Force and between the French authorities that did also involve returning people to the French coast. That operational cooperation, I think, is really important. But I would just say to him, cooperation is the really important word here. Because if we want to prevent gangs operating and organising, if we want to prevent boats reaching the French coast in the first place, we have to work closely not just with France, but with Germany, with other European countries, with the countries through which some of the supply chains are operating as well. And it's that cooperation that I know quite often he and some of the others in his party have refused. So that cooperation will be important, and it's our best way to stop the criminal gangs.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When you take a drug dealer off the street corner, guess what? Another one appears because of the vile drugs trade and the amount of money involved. My constituents of Boston and Skegness believe it's exactly the same with trying your policy, Home Secretary, of smashing the gangs. If you smash one gang, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. Another one appear, and another one will appear, because there is so much money involved. Here's the point. How long will you give your policy, Home Secretary, before realising that the only policy will work is the policy that you actually started last week, which is to pick up and take back to France, which we're entitled to do under international maritime law? It will help British citizens, it will help the British taxpayers, and it will help the French, and it will reduce the magnet factor.
Well, what I would say to the honourable member is that no one should be making these dangerous journeys, and the criminal gangs are making massive profits from organising these boats. I just don't think they should be able to get away with it, and they are at the moment. We should be taking action against those criminal gangs, and I simply don't accept that it's impossible to go after the criminal gangs to make sure that you take action not just on the gangs themselves, but also on their supply chains, on the routes in which the boats that are taking, on their finances, and that we properly, substantially increase the law enforcement resources. As honourable members will know, we have had cases where journalists have identified the smugglers and those responsible for being involved in some of the smuggler gangs. I think that those smuggler gang members should be facing law enforcement. We have to do this. It's essential that we do. This is about properly standing up for the rule of law, as well as making sure that we do everything we can to prevent these dangerous small boats.